Cushman, the legend in the plans. Please listen every day to the showcase. The opinions and knowledge that anyone can take. Showing you how it is done. Proving I am number one. What a legend becomes. This is now my time to show you that I am here. This podcast just to make it loud and clear. By the fans, for the fans. Not many whose head can understand everything pro wrestling. It can never be you. Listen to the podcast here for the people. The best show that's here, so listen in. Let the knowledge begin. The opinion and the lesson. Yes.
This is Evolve Wrestling's Anthony Green, and you are listening to Everything Pro Wrestling.
Folks, welcome to Everything Pro Wrestling. We're getting some bad echo, but Everything Pro Wrestling is a show by the fans, for the fans. I am your host, Conrad Cushman, and we are here today with a State of WWE address. Can't wait to have you guys in here for it. And we're using some of Rob's equipment, so big shout out to him. Still working on getting a new computer. Pretty tough during this time because I have a lot of questions that I'd like to take care of for it. What is going on, live chat? I see Lauren wrote hi, original Biggie in the chat, Obi-Wan, PR Nightmare in the house talking about who cares about the WWE network right now. Alrighty. Rob said no sound on the intro again. Rob, I'm gonna have to work on that with you. I'll have a few days off so I can tinker with this a little bit. What's good, D? Rob, what's happening? That's alright, that's alright. You guys know how the sound is. It's going to go up on audio form as well. You know, sometimes the audio form has a few little extra bits and pieces in there for you. So you guys want to make sure that you are subscribed on your favorite platform, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to it, you're going to find Everything Pro Wrestling. Just type that in. Good to have you guys in here, man. We've been going through lots and lots of different things. What's going on, Ace? Good to have you in here. Mr. Floodwater, what's going on? Flood, I knew you'd be in here. You'd be interested in this WWE topic that we're doing tonight. So, yeah, this should be very interesting. Okay. Just getting some feedback. Haven't seen anything like that. Let me know if you guys are getting any video issues or anything else like that. YouTube just sent me some weird things, and I was like, what is this right now? So, hopefully everything is good with you guys. Everything is all good over here. We've been doing some pretty good things with streaming, everything else minus the computer taking a dump, everything else. I'm working on some other things for you guys. Josh, I have not forgotten about doing your videos. Josh Burton, I know he won the Royal Rumble contest. He sent me 2 suggestions. They're really good, and they'll be videos especially made for him, and I think you guys will enjoy them too. I just have to find the time to set it all up first. And I know next week's podcast is going to be about NXT TakeOver in your house. So back-to-back WWE topics. So you guys should enjoy that as well. Let's see here. Oh, Truly the Ace wants to start off with, what did you think of last night's Raw? Monday Night Raw was Monday Night Raw at this point. I think it's become pretty status quo. I am not the biggest fan of... How do I want to put this? I am not the biggest fan of how WWE portrays Monday Night Raw at this point. No crowd, you can't do anything about that. But there are some good things about WWE, and that's part of what we're going to talk about today. So I want you to stick around. But overall, I thought Monday Night Raw was all right. For what it is for the 3 hours, it was okay. Yeah, I actually Derek watched it with me. It was all right. What's going on, Sick? We're gonna have a good conversation here today because I know you guys are gonna provide what you think is the good, the bad, and the ugly. This show is nothing without its fans. It's a show by the fans, for the fans, and I need you guys to give your thoughts on this as well. We're not gonna go super long tonight, so this podcast may be a little bit shorter than usual, but that's all right with me. And before we get started, let's talk about cutting things out. And speaking of cutting things, we got to talk about the sponsor, Manscaped. Now, if you guys go to manscaped.com and put in the promo code EPW Show, you guys will get 20% off. You're not only helping out the podcast, but you're getting yourself some pretty cool stuff to help keep the family jewels clean. Now, first, I gotta show you this puppy every time. This thing is amazing. The Lawnmower 3.0, this is what gets the job done. It will get rid of all the hairs, no nicks, safe for your skin. Ladies, you can use this too. It works for anybody and everybody who's cutting the bushes to make the scenery look nicer. But this thing works great. Little light on it. Good grip on the handle. You guys know what I'm going to say when it comes to this. This is a great product. When you open it, not only will I thank you, your balls will thank you too. So you guys are going to want to go to manscaped.com, put in that promo code. They also have some other things that they offer in here. You can stay fresh with the Crop Mop moist ball wipes infused with aloe to soothe and refresh the skin. They also have the Crop Cleanser for hair and body wash. The Foot Duster. You gotta dust them feet, fellas. Gotta dust them feet. I know them crusty toes need this on it sometimes. They even have cologne, refined cologne. That's pretty nice. And they have the Plow too, which is a razor. Superior safety razor with a machined brass handle for better grip and zinc alloy head. Provides a gentle shave for extra smoothness. So, like I said, this Manscaped stuff, really good. Check it out for me, guys. Check it out. And if you've enjoyed it, write a review. Tell them everything Pro Wrestling sent me, and I love this. Let's talk WWE, shall we? We've wasted enough time talking about this. Let's see here. Flood's got a question for me already. Conrad, would you agree that fans give WWE crap for things that AEW do with no criticism? Save that for the end, Flood. We could talk about that towards the end of the show. Remind me about that, because that's a deep delve into what we're going to get into. Moist ball wipes, that's year 3005 shit right there. Let them know, Sick. Let them know. You just made me think of Childish Gambino when you put that in there. Let's talk about WWE. The WWE brand is something that I think you guys have noticed that I've been more and more distancing myself from. I know a lot of people used to think that my podcast was WWE only, and that's never been the case. I think that the main thing that I watch, WWE is everywhere. I'm going to back my chair up just a little bit too from the microphone here. WWE is everywhere. It's the biggest promotion in the world, on the planet. And I think it's the one that a lot of us grew up with and what we first enjoyed about pro wrestling. The real question is, how on earth did some of us get to this point? And I had a good conversation with Sick in a private chat. Shout out to Sick in the chat. I think that it comes to a time where, as somebody who likes to talk business and everything else, everything has the curve in business. It's a startup, you get your peak, you get your decline, and then you got to figure out a way to rejuvenate. And I think WWE's in this decline mode right now. I think wrestling isn't as popular as ever. But to be fair, I think wrestling has a lot of options for us. It gives us a lot of things to do. There's a lot of companies out there now, and I think wrestling is very variety driven at this point. You have so many companies that you could look to for what you want, whether it's going to an independent wrestling show, going to Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling. You put the name in there, AEW, WWE, they've got something to offer you for it. Now, every promotion, I think, comes with this same list that we're going to talk about today. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And to me, this is one of my favorite things. And I know I do a lot of podcasts where I say we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And today, I've kind of listed some of the things off the top of my head that go into the good, the bad, and the ugly things. So we're going to start off with the good. We're going to go to the bad, and then the ugly, and then we'll take some questions from you guys. How's that sound? Lance the Film Guy, love the letter grade explanations. No doubt, man. I put those in there for the reviews when people ask, like, A is the great tier, B is the good tier, C is the average, D is, this is pretty bad, and F is, yo, what are you doing here, bro? This was a big miss. I appreciate that. Flood says, hell yeah, I've noticed you've backed away from WWE. And we can talk about that partially on this, Flood. I promise you. What's going on, Foul? Good to have you in here. Foul Original in the house. Appreciate my brother Foul being in here. Yeah, guys. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button for me. Leave me a thumbs up. And let's get into this. WWE Podcast. Let's start off with the good. First good thing I wrote down. The Undertaker documentary. I just finished part 3 earlier today. This documentary has been truly amazing. I know I saw Nelson said he canceled the WWE Network in there. I think this doc has been really worth having the network for. This is really good, and it's such a different look at The Undertaker. I look at him completely different now than I did before. To me, The Undertaker of today is a nice guy. He is someone who gives back to the business more than he ever had to. We get to see his relationship with Vince McMahon in all of this. And it's a relationship that I don't think anybody thought it was like that, but it is. And it's truly remarkable, and I would really recommend everybody check it out. A lot of Michelle McCool in there because she's with him as The Undertaker's wife. And they're side by side throughout this, and it's nice to see her take on things versus his take on things, and you start to understand their logic and where they're going with things. And to me, what this has shown me so far, at least in the first 3 episodes, The Undertaker is the ultimate competitor. He is always going to duke it out. He is always going to fight through. Really interesting things that you guys should check out in this if you haven't yet. I think it's been great. Let's see here what the chat is saying. Lance says, it's ironic how you are mentioning this because I am currently writing an article about how the WWE is going through the motions. Interesting, Lance. I'd love to see that. Rob says, I think part 3 was weak in comparison to the first 2. Still great, though. Rob, I think the problem with part 3 and what you're saying is that it's kind of drawn out and they kind of hop to different points to pick it apart versus staying on track and going fully linear. But Undertaker disappears for quite some time during that time period, so it's kind of like, oh, we were here, don't mention this guy because he's not in the company right now, and then, oh, we're back in Australia for Super Showdown, and then they just jump right into the big show. And yeah, it's interesting though. The last one, part 3, talks a lot about the DX Triple H matches and stuff from the past, and they kind of rewind back a little bit too. This is really good stuff. PR Nightmare says his cancellation's on the 30th of the month. Did you see his interview he did about Shad? I'm happy he gets to be normal now. Yeah, Taker's great to see him be normal. The Shad interview I have not seen, so I will have to try to find that and check it out. Hopefully it's on YouTube. But the Undertaker doc, I promise you guys, if you like Undertaker in any way, shape, or form, this is good. And I think it's one of WWE's best documentaries. And I mean that wholeheartedly. No BS, nothing else with it. I really think this is one of the better things that they've put together for the WWE Network. And I don't know the state of the network either. I didn't put that in here because it was kind of uncertainty to me, but I don't know if WWE can ever go back to charging the amount of prices that they've had for pay-per-views after all these years have passed. They've only been doing it for $10. They're in an interesting position. Do you go for the quick money on pay-per-views? Is that the long-term way to grow, or do you keep this network that you invested so much money in? Time will tell for that. So I think that's interesting. My next point here, new stars are getting a chance on WWE programming recently, and I kind of like this. I have a fear coming into it, but I like it. I like to see the rise of, I wrote down a bunch of the names here. If I'm forgetting one, let me know, chat. Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy being paired with Seth Rollins as his disciple. And no, I'm not talking about Brutus the Barber Beefcake in WCW. Buddy Murphy is an excellent wrestler in ring. I've always enjoyed his work since he was in the tag team down in NXT. Buddy Murphy is a standout. This guy is really good. I heard about him years ago when he was on the Australian independent wrestling scene. This guy is good. Otis. Otis is another talent who I think always has the secret charisma that's ready to ooze out of him. Otis has done a tremendous job. He is currently Mr. Money in the Bank. Otis is someone that I think a lot of people could really get into and dig if they do the storyline right. And that's a big if. He's got a lot of momentum. He got Mandy Rose. He got the hot girl. That usually doesn't work out that way in WWE storylines. Kudos to them for that. I think him winning Money in the Bank was a surprise. I did not. Otis was a wild card pick to me, but I did not think he was going to win it. I thought it was going to an AJ Styles or somebody. Otis is Mr. Money in the Bank. Good shock factor? Heck yeah. So there's nothing wrong with having Otis in this picture at all. Angel Garza. Angel Garza is someone who I think really stood out on NXT, and a lot of these guys made some quick moves, man. They just jumped right up and got into some things. And Angel Garza fits in, I think, with the group of Zelina Vega and Andrade. Now, Andrade's not listed on here because I do think his stock was on the rise before all of this, but Angel Garza is someone who I would be on the lookout for. He could be that top talent that takes that spot that I know a lot of people put Rey Mysterio in for years and years and years, and who's going to be the next Latin American big star for the WWE? It could be Angel Garza. Kid's doing really well. I'm happy for him. I put down the re-signed Drew Gulak. It's nice to see him being used. Now, is Drew Gulak someone who I see as a WWE World Champion? No. But I do think Drew Gulak reminds me of a mat wrestling technician similar to cruiserweights of the past like Dean Malenko. And I think Drew Gulak is a future producer or trainer for WWE. And this is a wise signing. I think this guy would be a great trainer. I just see it. He seems like a teacher. When people are in the ring with him, they're comfortable. He knows what he's doing. So that is something that I could truly give the big thumbs up for. I put that we had some other cats in here. Apollo Crews, the new U.S. champion after last night's Raw. I have been a big proponent for Apollo Crews for quite some time. I will say that Apollo Crews, Nia Jax, and several others were called up way too soon. And when they get a lot of criticism for, oh, they can't talk on the mic, oh, they can't, whatever you want to say, with Nia, makes botches in the ring and hurts people and stuff like that. I really blame that on the lack of NXT time they had. I think they needed to stay down there more to hone their skills. I know when Apollo got that first big match against like Finn Balor, that was a really good match for him, but him losing, it started to crush his stock. He got called up to SmackDown. You think they're going to do something with him, and it's just kind of like, they just let him float around. But Apollo Crews becoming the United States champion, happy as hell in my book. That was one of the highlights from Monday Night Raw, in my opinion. Let's see here. Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville is someone who I'm happy to see get more television time. I know her and Mandy Rose were a tag team, Fire and Desire, but Sonya Deville has done a great job in her new role, kind of the hating ass best friend for Mandy Rose. She has really shown more character than I think any of us have seen from her on WWE television, and I think she's done a good job. Mandy Rose is another one. Mandy Rose as a babyface, she's done an excellent job. She's really fitting in the role of, getting Otis that sympathy he needs sometimes, or vice versa. He gets her the sympathy in her matches. It works out well. We keep going with some of these other names. We have Jake Atlas, who is currently in the Cruiserweight Classic. I didn't know much about Jake Atlas. Rob was letting me know that cartwheel DDT off the ropes is a really dope move. And it's good to see Jake Atlas on here for the tournament. We got a lot of tournaments going on. We got the Cruiserweight Interim Champion Tournament, and we also have the Intercontinental Championship Tournament. Tournaments are a great thing. Timothy Thatcher, I'm happy to see him in there. If you guys have never seen his work from Evolve or any of the other places, Timothy Thatcher is damn good. Another technician, mat wrestler. He's doing really, really well and currently in a feud with Matt Riddle. And we have El Phantasmo, King Cuerno from Lucha Underground, for those who don't know. El Phantasmo has been great. He is one of the favorites to win the Interim Cruiserweight Championship match, or tournament, excuse me. And El Phantasmo's been great. I think he only suffered one loss in the tournament to Isaiah Swerve Scott. He's another one who I'm a big fan of. Big fan of the Swerve City podcast. His co-host Montezi does the intro theme song for Everything Pro Wrestling, when it's working properly, of course. And yeah, this has been great stuff by all of these folks in here. Next, let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't mention. Oh, Truly the Ace brought up Austin Theory. Thank you. I knew I missed one. I think I had his name written down here on the side, didn't I? And Karrion Kross, I didn't bring him up, in Scarlett Bordeaux. There's a lot of good wrestlers right now to be happy about that are getting a little bit of a push. Yeah, Austin Theory joining Seth Rollins. I like it. I think he's in a better position being with Rollins as a disciple for him than being. He didn't fit in with that Angel Garza, Zelina Vega stable. I don't even know if they have a name for it, but the somebody would call them the LIJ of WWE PC. But Austin Theory, he looked the part, but he just didn't feel right in there. He was like a broken puzzle piece that you were trying to fit into that. With Rollins, the name Austin Theory, even how the look he had, he just looked like he belonged in that group. So Buddy Murphy, Austin Theory, and Seth Rollins as kind of the trio right now works. And who knows, once they get AOP back, that could be a really, really reckoning faction. Like, they could cause havoc on Monday Night Raw. Let's see what the chat is saying about this. Let me back it up a little bit. Casey wrote Booger Red when I was talking about The Undertaker. Shout out to good old JR for that one. Mr. Floodwater said UK pay-per-view prices are still the same, by the way. All right. Truly the Ace brought up Austin Theory. Thank you, Ace. I know that was a good name to bring up here. Mr. Floodwater said non-WWE network, and he brought up Tucky. I think Otis has stood out more than Tucker. Tucker really hasn't benefited from this. He's gotten a little bit of TV time here and there, which has me fearful too of a turn. I hope not, but Tucker's impressed me though when he's had his opportunities to shine in the ring with Otis. Six said it's been time for new stars to be made. That's one of the WWE's main problems. It's great to acknowledge and love the past, but don't live in it. Casey said, who the hell are these guys? These names you are saying. Ace brought up Apollo Crews. PR said, I thought they released Drew Gulak. Apparently he's been re-signed back, Nelson. Daddy DeVille, what's good, Casey wrote. Yeah, big fan. Matt Riddle. We're going to get into that too, being rumored for main show bound, I guess we'll say. I know, I think NXT is basically main roster now. I don't think we can say that anymore. Flood says WWE just doesn't live in the past. Becky was made the biggest superstar of 2019. Rob said Los Angeles Day Performance Center. The Monday Night Messiah. Derek's a big fan of Rollins since he's kind of changed it up a little bit. Now he's starting to believe it. Six said that's one exception. One can't count NXT either because their accomplishments are barely acknowledged when they hit the main roster. Yeah, that's true. That's true sometimes. They pick and choose kind of when they want to do that stuff. So we talked about the new stars getting a chance and everything else. Let's talk about Drew McIntyre for a second. I'm happy that Drew McIntyre is the WWE champion. This is a good thing because Drew McIntyre is the example that WWE would want of hard work. The man got fired after being put in 3-man ban. I don't know how that was ever going to get over if you didn't let him get wins. But they put him in 3-man ban. Drew gets released. Jinder Mahal gets released. And eventually they make their comeback. Jinder becomes WWE champion. Slater recently was released. But the good thing from this, when Drew McIntyre got fired, he told Vince McMahon that he would be back and that he said that it would be the best decision he ever made. And I think Drew is proving right on that point right now. Drew McIntyre is one of the hottest acts. And I'm curious to know if you guys think that, has Drew McIntyre taken Roman Reigns' spot as the top person with the title? I think it's an interesting thing to bring up. Drew McIntyre is the example of what you want to have happen when someone gets released. He got put in a bad spot, I felt, and he couldn't get out of it. And then once he finally got released, the cuffs were off of him. He went to the gym. He did what he had to do. He muscled up, and he just became even better than anything else we've seen. He went to Impact. He was in the UK. He was at What Culture's promotion. He was everywhere, Drew McIntyre, at that time, and he put on some damn good matches. So I have nothing but respect for Drew McIntyre, and I'm glad to see him get that spot. Original Biggie wrote, "I'm just one man." See, people are big fans. Ace, you brought up Forgotten Sons in the chat here. I'm not a Forgotten Sons guy. I don't know what it is. Something's not clicking with me and them. And listen, I'm a Sons of Anarchy fan, and I know that's kind of like part of how the gimmick feels a little bit, but it's just not working for me. Truly, the Ace said Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley at Backlash for the WWE title. Yes, that's going to be a good match, I think. If they let them do the stuff that they did in Impact Wrestling, you're going to see a good match out of these two. And I do like something else that I'm going to bring up here in 1 second when it comes to that. Love the story, though, of Drew McIntyre. Next, WWE adding people to the crowd, I think, was a positive this week. It was nice to see people. I know some people didn't like the hockey board setup, but they didn't want people breathing on them, I guess, or whatever that was up there for. Did it work? I think it helped with the noise factor, but did it look silly? Perhaps. I wouldn't argue with someone if they said it did. I just really hope that all safety precautions are being taken by any company that's running a show right now, especially with people in the crowd. But the noise factor really helped, and I think it made Raw more enjoyable just by having the noise, people being in the crowd. Yeah. Flood, how did I forget who I don't know? Forgotten Sons, you know? Casey said Drew McIntyre is a badass. I don't watch WWE, but I'm trying to keep tabs on him. He's really good. Yeah, Drew was always good in my opinion, man. I just think that he got caught up in some stuff, and now he's starting to finally see like the fruits of his labor. So good for him. We talk about adding people to good spots. I'm just gonna bring up some names just so I can say that I'm happy to see these people in spots. Asuka. I'm glad Asuka's getting her just due. To me, Asuka's been wasted for far too long since she's been called up to the main roster since she left NXT. And that was back when that happened too. So that's why I said the call up thing to the main roster. Asuka is someone who really brings that believability into the pro wrestling world. And Asuka puts on some darn good matches. If you let her, you got to let her go out there. She's got to be herself. I do sometimes, it's weird. I'm like entertained by her doing the yelling stuff on Raw. But I want to see her have great promos when it's time to, and give her subtitles. Let Asuka cut those backstage promos where she shines. And I think if you put her and book her as a serious champion, you could really do something with her. Let's see here. 6 said, man, the guards were cool. Makes me believe they're taking the virus seriously. Yeah. I'm just saying the sitting next to each other and everything else. I don't know if WWE's testing people. I would have no idea to know that. But I'm just saying I hope all precautions are being taken for this. Now, as far as the next person I want to talk about, it's MVP. I'm glad MVP is back in the WWE because I think the perfect role for someone like MVP right now is to be a manager. MVP still has the gift to gab. He always could be a talker, and I think MVP has an incredible life story to tell people. If you don't know MVP's life story, man, it's really something like, it's an amazing story. You couldn't write a movie about it that perfect. And I'm happy to see him successful, just doing his thing, man. He's back. He's balling. MVP is the perfect person to manage a Bobby Lashley. Lashley lacks on the microphone. MVP makes up for that. But Lashley has the look, the skills, the talent to be a main eventer, and it's up to MVP to get him over, and I think that it's a good spot for him. And as long as this duo works well together, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm curious to see if Lana sides with Drew McIntyre. I know I'm speculating a little bit on that, but I wonder what role Lana plays in all of this too. They did that storyline previously with Rusev, and I keep wondering, where does Lana end up from this? We talk about the whole brand of Raw. Let's move over to NXT. The rumor is Matt Riddle is main roster bound, and I know a lot of people are thinking about what's going to happen with Riddle. The rumor is right now that Matt Riddle's going to SmackDown, and I see this as a good thing. Let me tell you why. And it'll make more sense once we get into the next section here. But Matt Riddle going to SmackDown will be a positive uplift for that brand. They are in need of some new energy, some new blood, and I think Matt Riddle is a good fit. I really don't like the fact that him and Pete Dunne didn't get to finish their tag title right. I was really getting into that tag team. Their vignettes were great. They were doing good things with Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle, and now I'm just like, what are they going to do now with Pete Dunne when he gets back? So you're just going to have to wait and see what happens with him. But good to see Matt Riddle is possibly coming to the main roster. Rey Mysterio retires. This is a good thing. I love Rey Mysterio. He's one of my favorites of all time. And Rey Mysterio is one of the greatest cruiserweights and one of my favorite pro wrestlers because of everything he's done. When I first saw him wrestle Dean Malenko on a Nitro and he did a flip like cannonball over the top rope, I had never seen anything like that during that time period. I never saw wrestling like that where it was the lucha libre style. People are bouncing off the ropes, doing springboards. Rey Mysterio could just always do the craziest things, and he landed them with perfection. So all those surgeries that Rey Mysterio had to get, he's one of the top superstars. He sold a lot of masks for WWE, and he's just a good guy all around. I've never heard a bad story about Rey Mysterio treating somebody wrong or, blowing somebody off. Rey Mysterio has always been very good to his fans, and I'm just sad to see I don't know if this is an angle. I think it is. But I would love to see maybe him and Dominic get one more run as a team. I know that was something he wanted to do. So Rey Mysterio, the retirement. We'll see if it happens, man. But one of my favorites, so I had to put this in the positive part of this. Let's go back into the chat here and see what people are saying. Casey said, to be honest, I thought the hockey glass looked cool from the pics I saw. Could be a cool way to not keep other wrestlers safe from getting germs, but also being grabbed and whatnot. Let's see. Casey also put, dude, MVP could be so valuable in a manager position. Agreed. I thought he could have even been a babyface manager for the Street Profits. You could have done a lot of things with MVP and him getting together a talent. I'm just glad he didn't manage that tag team of Vank and I can't remember who his partner is. Shane Thorne. Yeah, they could have put those two together, and I would have not been a fan of what they were doing with that. And sorry, I'm writing down another note for myself that you just made me think of, Casey, so thank you. Flood said, yo, I wanted to point out that AEW did this, people in the crowd, and stuff was said, and WWE does it, and it lands horrible. Please explain why and how. Flood, the problem with it is AEW did it first, so people view it as copycatting. Honestly, I don't care at this point. WWE had to have some noise in the background. It's fine. I don't have an issue with it. And I do know that AEW is testing people. According to Tony Khan, everybody gets tested the day before. And once they get the results back, then you can perform on the show after that. So they have a lot of testing in place right now for their wrestlers. So I don't know what's the difference, Flood. I think when people get on social media and it comes to this, if you're a WWE fan, you're going to see all the AEW hate. And if you're an AEW fan, you're going to see a lot of WWE hate because it goes both ways, sir. It's not like it's just one way. I've been called a fanboy for AEW because that's what a lot of my content was. I do a review every Wednesday for them. Check it out if you haven't. Cheap plug. The idea that somebody named Everything Pro Wrestling is a fanboy is quite ridiculous, though. And I didn't need anybody to come to my aid or defend me when it comes to that. But seriously, is that how people are going to really react to these type of things? Let's see here. Jesus De Leon, bro. What's going on, Jesus? Six said, I love Asuka. Always loved her. They need to make her a force of nature, though. Never liked the way she lost to Charlotte at WrestleMania a few years back. Yeah, that could have been part of the downturn for her popularity. But no one stays undefeated forever, too. I get that, but let's see here. Jesus said, hope they build Riddle right. BJ says, what's going on, BJ? Shout out to BJ from Run the Ropes. He says, there's a lot of stories left on the table for Riddle and NXT. Sad to see him go. Matt Riddle does not make it on the main roster. Rob says Vince won't get him and lose interest, guaranteed. I hope not, man. I hope Trips could talk him into it. That's a big star for you, I think. I think Riddle has the potential to be a WWE champion. Hope he does end up leaving WWE, Ray. I don't know what Ray's position will be afterwards. I don't know if he'll take a Legends contract or whatnot, Jesus. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him. If Ray gets those stem cells for his eyes like he did his legs, he's going to have laser vision. Terrible, BJ. Mysterio for the Hall of Fame, I could see it sick. I think you still have those to induct, who was it? Batista and the NWO. Ray should go back to New Jersey again. I don't know what you mean by that. Oh, New Japan. Maybe he will. Maybe he'll go in there. F them, Conrad, those who call you that. I'm not worried about them, Jesus. You know how it goes. They talk about it. Rob doing the SpongeBob. They stole the crowd idea from AEW. So what? I don't care. Like I said, dude, AEW, listen, at the end of the day, your roster is your roster. Your business, see this? This is a box that I'm doing if you guys can't see it on the audio version. Like, that's your business. That's what you're going to do right now. I'm tired of hearing this. They stole this idea. They stole that idea. There's not enough originality anymore for pro wrestling. You just have to do it right and keep people interested. That's the main thing. Michael Cole is undefeated, likely forever at Mania. Dear God. And last thing I put in here was WWE NXT, Killer Cross, Scarlett Bordeaux. Cool for them right now. Interesting to see what they do with Tommaso Ciampa. And last but not least, WWE NXT, bringing back NXT TakeOver in your house. I think that's really cool. Next week we'll probably have a preview and predictions for the show. Happy just to see In Your House back. It was a cool pay-per-view when I was a kid. Little nostalgia. I'm down with that. So I hope that they gotta have the house, bro. If you do not have the house in the entranceway, you blew it. But I have faith in NXT that they will do the right thing with this. Now, I got you guys sitting in here. The good was the longer part of the list. You probably be surprised by that, right, Flood? See? I told you come in here. But now we got to talk about the bad. And the first bad thing I have written down here, and it was because of what Casey said before that I wrote it, Cedric Alexander and Ricochet. What a misuse of talent. If one person in this chat could tell me, within good reason, what did Cedric Alexander and Ricochet do to deserve not to have a chance to not be featured on Monday Night Raw at this point, please tell me. I would love to hear it. And when they offered those releases to anybody who was looking for them, if I was those two, that would have been the first move I made. Like, yo, we're out of here. I cannot believe that these guys are in a tag team and not featured every week. Ricochet had a match with Brock Lesnar, loses it really quickly, and that's the end of Ricochet. What did he do? I don't get it. I just don't understand the the misuse of these guys. Total misuse of Cedric Alexander and Ricochet. Baffled. Next, SmackDown sucks. SmackDown is horrible every flippin' week. And I'm sad to say this. If I had to rank the three shows, number 1 is NXT, number 2 is Raw, and number 3 is SmackDown. Horrible. I haven't watched NXT UK in quite some time. I just don't have enough time to watch it anymore. I'm sorry. They do have some great wrestlers over there, and when they do have the takeovers, I watch those. Everything Pro Wrestling's a tough name to keep up with, brother, I promise. So I love the UK guys. There's a lot of NXT wrestling going on over there. That's good, and I believe it. I'm a big Devlin fan. Mustache Mountain, I enjoy Imperium, all of those guys in that group. Tony Storm, like you could go through all of that roster. Great, good to great. But SmackDown, you have 2 hours of television. You are on Fox. Fox is television that everybody has here in the United States. I think that a lot of people can see this around the world. Fox is a huge network, and they're just not doing it for me. Their storylines, the best storyline you got is with Otis. The best storyline. Mandy Rose and Otis. And I'm not saying that like it's a bad thing. That's the best thing you're doing. Daniel Bryan is wrestling good matches, but he's with Drew Gulak. Okay? You've got Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro with Sami Zayn. 3 great wrestlers, and I just don't know what they're doing. What are they doing? They're in the mid-card floundering. Nakamura, when his violin hit in 2016, that was the SmackDown I loved. When Nakamura came out, he was like, he's on SmackDown. The violinist is out there playing the theme music for him. He was over, bro. He was over. How did you mess this up? You had him lose to Jinder Mahal. You can't do that. You can't do that. It's just terrible, man. It's just terrible what you see when it comes to that. And Flood said, when did we do the good? We did a lot of the good. I talked about The Undertaker, new stars getting chances on the shows, Drew McIntyre busting his ass. I was happy for them adding people to the crowd. I said that was a good idea. I also liked Asuka, MVP, Matt Riddle being called up to the main roster, Rey Mysterio retiring, and I brought up NXT, Karrion Kross, Scarlett Bordeaux, and In Your House, Flood. I did bring up some good. So if you want to go back and take a listen to that, I thought you were in here listening. Yeah, poor Cedric. Same with Naomi and Sasha. Sasha's got a storyline going at least right now, so I can't really hate on that. Has the storyline progressed fast? Not at all. This has been dragging, I feel like, for years. Since they got into that fight on Raw and they sent him to see Dr. Shelby. And I love Sasha and Bayley. They're probably my 2 of the favorite horsewomen. Like, they're probably my top 2. But you're not doing anything. It's just, I feel like they're just going through the motions and just waiting and waiting and waiting. Let's see here. SmackDown, it didn't happen. NXT is the A. BJ says SmackDown is the new Raw. The minute they went to Fox and switched broadcast teams, I knew that was coming. Baffles me because they have so many good and diverse roster members and still make trash. Agree. He was over and now he's just over. Good point, Sick, when it comes to that. I'm sorry, yes, Nakamura did get called up in 2017. Yeah, then they turned him heel. Yeah. If somebody handed me gold like that, I promise you, Nakamura would be used sparingly like he was in NXT. The dude would be the man. BJ says WWE is currently doing things similar to back how TNA did in 2009 and 11. How do you have such a crazy talented roster and just junk it up? I didn't know who Shinsuke was before that, but that entrance though, see, people were impressed. And Jesus said they dragged a lot of stuff. True. Next thing I have here is it could be more so good or bad, how you want to take it. I fear the Iconics breaking up. Now, Casey and Rob got on my case about the Iconics, and I'm still not the biggest Iconics fan. Like, yes, they need to be tag champs. I'm sorry, I don't feel that way. But I do think that these ladies both deserve to be on television and given a chance to hone their skills. They've never been really given enough TV time for me to say, yeah, pull them off or get rid of them. Like, they didn't have a chance. You got to give someone a chance to be a player before you're ready to write them off and take them off television. Or why did you sign them? Stop hoarding talent. If you're not going to use them, don't hoard them. And that's the main thing I think of when I see the Iconics. I saw that slap, and I'm just hoping, like, after their tag match that there's not a breakup with them. Yeah, that's just how I feel. Next, let's talk about Edge and Randy Orton. Edge and Orton labeled as the greatest match ever. This is in the bad. You're not going to meet those expectations. Why would you label this match as that? Why would you call any match the greatest ever? You don't need... Here's the thing about being humble as a person, and WWE's a corporation, right? They act as a person. When you're a person and you're really good at something, do you have to brag? If you're good at baseball, do you have to tell someone, yeah, I hit 102 home runs? How about when you go to the plate, you just do it? You don't need to humble brag. And for someone to say we're going to have the greatest match ever, you're setting expectations too high. And this is something that I've been talking about with Tony Khan recently. Tony Khan saying, "Oh, we've got this great open arena match or whatever." And I'm talking about the match with Moxley and Hager. It was all right, but don't say it was like really great. It wasn't. You're hyping it up too much, and you don't want to get into that Dixie Carter big episode of Impact tonight. Wow, wow, wow. Like, you don't want to be that person who has these failing, like, tweets where you say something big's going to happen and it's nothing. Don't do that. Don't overhype. Honestly, if I were them, I would say nothing. Let the people tell you it's great. Let someone else tell you something's great. I know you can say it when you're in the room creating the idea. Let someone else tell you what's great. Trust me, the people will do it. Moving on to the next thing. Braun Strowman. Horrible, man. I don't like what they're doing with him. And I'm just talking about this current month. He beats Bray Wyatt. Cool. I get that. I thought he was going to feud with The Fiend. Now, I figure they're saving this for a big money match at SummerSlam, right? I'm down with that. But his buffer feud in between is a handicap match with Miz and Morrison. Why would Braun Strowman defend the belt against Miz and Morrison after he lost the Intercontinental title to Sami Zayn, Nakamura, and Cesaro in a handicap match? You didn't learn anything from the last time you lost, bro? I don't know. I'm not feeling Braun Strowman as a champion. I don't know what it is. Maybe the ship has sailed on Braun. I wanted to see him win a couple years back when the brand split first started, but now, what? I don't know. I just don't care. I don't care. And look at this. The Miz. This man main event at WrestleMania 27. And now he's in a handicap match against the Universal Champion. Probably, I'm willing to bet, is going to lose. And John Morrison came back for this. Not that there's a problem with putting somebody over, but it's just like, don't you think we could find better ways to utilize them, especially if they're a tag team? So a tag team's going to be in a handicap match main event and lose? What does that say about your tag division? Which is my next point on this list. The tag division is bad. Bro, combine the tag belts. It's over. You have great tag teams and you're not utilizing them. We have one of the Usos out with injury. We've got Xavier Woods out with injury. Combine the tag division. It's time. It's time. You could have the Street Profits, New Day, War Raiders. Like, just imagine if you put all those teams together, you could actually do something. Since they're so hell-bent on Cedric Alexander and Ricochet being a tag team. Okay, put them in there with all those great teams. You could do stuff with that. Why? I've got two more points in this, and then we'll go to the ugly, and then we'll get ready to get on out of here. But I do want to read what the chat is saying, because I'm seeing a lot of conversation in here. PR Nightmare wrote, I could live without him. Not sure who that's about, as far as maybe it was Sasha and Bailey? Not sure. Or if it was Nakamura. Jesus said, yeah, I do agree they might break them up. Yeah, I hope not with the Iconics. They got to defend their titles. Oh, never. Yeah, Ace, you know. BJ said that's the worst decision WWE can make for the Iconics to split. They are legit the only tag team that the women's division has. Yeah, since they got rid of Fire and Desire. They have tag pin moves, transitions, etc. Everything Vince hates. Six said, give New Japan Nakamura the violin theme from WWE. Woo, he would have been that much bigger. Broken Rockstar is laughing out loud at something here. And let me scroll on down. BJ said the best WWE could do at this point for the Edge and Orton match is to do a straight up ring the bell and Orton does something to get DQ'd. Then at least something comes off as a troll instead of being scrutinized. Jesus said WWE's logic these days, if you lose, you get a title shot. It was weird to see Natalya in the triple threat, and she lost the last two matches. Casey said they need to save Braun, turn him back into a tag champ. Dude needs Nicholas back. I still like Braun as a person, but they killed his dominant character already. I'm so done with WWE. Original Biggie said WWE has a tag division, and it's Vader time, by the way. Terrible. Oh, PR said the Iconics. He said I can live without him. Last two things though. AJ Styles being traded to SmackDown. I like AJ being on SmackDown. You could put that in the good as well, Flood. That's okay. My issue is the future considerations. What draft is going on right now? What brand split is there? You have people jumping from different shows. Charlotte Flair has been on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT all this week. What? What brand split, bro? And I can transition into the WWE draft is a joke. It's been crapped on. And I can tell you to go back in the archives, find the video with me and Casey talking about the draft. I think it's in with our, like, within the first 25 videos. Me and Casey sit down and talk about the WWE draft, and we prove that this was a bad idea. And I think it's just proven at this point. Give it up, man. I like him being on SmackDown, but dude, give it up. This is not working. Draft sucks. The ugly. The ugly's going to be pretty quick. My list of ugly is, number one, Monday Night Raw is still 3 hours. This has to stop. When it's 9:30 and I'm looking at my like clocks and I'm like, dude, is this over yet? And it's not. Hurts. It's just too long. Even when Raw's like bearable, you're just like, if they cut out these two matches, I think it would have been better. Not everybody's going to get TV time every week. If you structure your shows better, I think it would work. NXT. NXT's on here for this. The weekly television expanding, I'm really not getting the opportunity to enjoy it. And the reason I say that is I need a break from WWE. WWE has too much content. I cannot watch 3 hours of Raw going into 2 hours, that's 5 now, of NXT, 2 hours of SmackDown. We're at 7. This is a job now, 1 day at a job almost. And then you have 205 Live, you have NXT UK, and don't forget some documentary specials. We're at 10 hours a week for like watching WWE content. I'm not devoting 10 hours of my life to the WWE product, their video games, and everything else. I like WWE. I enjoy WWE when it's done right, but not that much. I think they're oversaturated with what they're doing with that. That's just my part right there in it. So NXT weekly television, I think it was a mistake for them to go to the 2 hours. It's too much. I don't enjoy it, and I've been noticing more and more the last couple weeks. I'm just finding myself skimming through parts of NXT that I just happen to just be like, yeah. A lot of those cruiserweight tournament matches, unless I was told something was really good or saw I'd get a great reaction on Twitter, I'm just like, okay, moving on. Let's see here. SmackDown I put as terrible. SmackDown needs a facelift. They need something to hype and enliven the brands. The whole wild card rule goes back on exactly what they said they weren't going to do. Does everybody remember when they were all in the ring? And we're going to start listening to our fans. And they got rid of the wild card rule. The wild card rule is back. Nothing different has happened. No change has been implemented. We're seeing some people get pushed, yes. But what have you done? When I look at your body of work, what have you done? I see nothing. I see nothing here. And the last thing I'm going to put is WWE still needs to continue making improvement. They just have to work on being better. Is it perfect? No. You have somebody who is over the hill, as they may say, in his prime years of running a business. Vince McMahon is older now. Vince McMahon does not understand things like Matt Riddle, as Rob pointed out before. He does not understand some of the things that are referenced to today in pro wrestling. He probably doesn't like all of the comedy ha-ha stuff that other fans like. Vince McMahon's from a different era, so you have to deal with that and combat that. And I'm sure it's a struggle for Triple H and Stephanie too. If you've ever had to deal with an older person, they can sometimes be stubborn, stuck in their ways, and guess what? You're not telling a billionaire something that he already doesn't think that he can do better because he already made his money. So what are you going to tell him? You got nothing. Let's see here. Jesus said, not gonna lie, Conrad, NXT on USA has been a downfall, especially this year. Been a boring year for them. Six said, too much content wouldn't be an issue if it was good content. Yeah, it'd be different if when they were like really hot, if you guys remember during the Attitude Era, people were craving for stuff like this, like more and more and more, and now it's not like that though. And I'm okay with that. We don't need all that content though either. Izzy says, honestly, I'm only watching NXT. Yeah, it's still the best show. I know what Jesus wrote before about the brand, and I do semi agree with that too. They do have a lot of filler now, but yeah, that's what it is. NXT goes live the same time as AEW, yes, and that's why I try to watch AEW for a different perspective every week on that show. I know you guys don't want to hear me come on here and just complain about Raw and SmackDown every week. I would just be complaining, I promise you. I'd complain about it was 3 hours. And then I'd complain that, oh, who's the surprise guest? Well, like, I would complain about all that stuff. And that's no disrespect to Big Show. It's just, you've done this surprise so many times. It's like having Tommy Dreamer come out at this point. And I love Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer's a fun person to have on your cards. But when he's like the surprise, you're just like, oh, we've seen this a lot. So they got to step it up. Some of the women NXT matches they have on the show, some are good too, though. Some of them are match of the night with like Rhea Ripley. BJ says they are products that do deserve some investments like ROH, New Japan, AEW, etc. Too much WWE content when they do more negative than positive when it comes to overall cards and rosters. Casey's agreeing with Sick. PR says Jericho is God. Little G, of course. Jesus said Jericho. When you have 10 superstars pushed almost decently and the rest are 50-50 or aren't utilized, you aren't doing justice to your shows. To be honest, I want to see you and Derek go off. Nah, not necessary, man. Six said that Big Show joke never gets old. Man, the best is to see Derek's reaction when that hits. He gets angry. He'll just be like, come on. Oh, man. But, nah, dude. I don't want to get angry watching pro wrestling. Is AEW perfect? No, not at all. But is it enjoyable? I think so. I have fun watching their shows. I'm excited for their product. I'm excited for New Japan's product. Ring of Honor supposedly has some ideas being implemented. I'll watch it, sure. Impact Wrestling, I was watching their pay-per-views. I have not moved back to their weekly television yet, but Impact Wrestling was trying to do some things. Not mad at it at all. It's what it's going to be. WWE is not the worst wrestling company in the world either. They're not terrible and blah, 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 blah. I think a lot of it can be misconstrued. I think there's a lot of people who get angry with what happens in WWE. And we have to remember this. There's not spots for everybody. Not every Zack Ryder, Heath Slater, whoever it may be, will be world champion. Am I fans of those guys? Yes. I think they're great wrestlers. And could they be champions somewhere else? Sure, why not? But in WWE, where they have their chosen people and their vast majority of guys all competing for that championship, and to get in Vince's ear and get his time or Triple H's time, it's tough, man. It's a very competitive environment. And that's how Vince set it up. That's what he wanted when it came to WWE. Let's see here. Yeah, AEW still got some work to do and some stuff to fix. See, agreed, Jesus. Izzy said, do you think this is a bad time for Drew to be champ? It sucks for his reign because he's not getting the proper crowd reactions that I think he would be getting. But am I happy for Drew McIntyre? Yes, 100%. I don't think there's a bad time for him to be champ. I just think that he could use that crowd reaction because I think the people would be behind him. Let's see here. What do you say is the worst wrestling company right now? I have no idea. I can't even say right now. It's probably some independent that I haven't seen yet that's treated their wrestlers really bad. I know I did not like those accusations flown at CZW. I hope those weren't true. I cannot say if they are, if they aren't. I wasn't there, but got to be better. Hopefully those things aren't true. That's all that I hope for everybody's sake, that stuff like that's not true. But guys, I said I was going to try and keep this short. We almost went an hour here. I appreciate you guys listening to the Everything Pro Wrestling podcast. Do me a favor, make sure you guys go to powerslam.tv, put in the promo code EPW Show, 1 free month of independent pro wrestling. Try something out in your local area. You might find it even if you're across the pond or somewhere else in the world. Try and give some pro wrestling a chance in your local area. Do a search on there and see what you can find. It'll be interesting things for you to do. 1 month free EPW Show. And thank you guys so much for joining me on the Everything Pro Wrestling podcast. We will be back tomorrow on the YouTube channel with an AEW Dynamite review with me and Derek. And also, we are going to be back next week with NXT TakeOver in your house preview and predictions. You're not going to want to miss that one, guys. Thank you for listening to Everything Pro Wrestling. It's the show by the fans, for the fans. And we're out. Peace.
Are you looking for the newest and hottest in the world of pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 6,000 hours of the best events from over 150 of your favorite promotions from 20 different countries around the globe. Brands like Progress Wrestling, Evolve Wrestling, Combat Zone, Defy, PCW Ultra, PWX, Over the Top, Shine, and hundreds of others with fresh content added every day for only $5.99 per month. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
Everything Pro Wrestling, it's your boys from the Everything College Basketball Podcast and Facebook group. I'm Josh Burton, letting you all know that if you like the college game, that there's only one spot to come find all you need to know.
Yep, Josh, Peyton, and myself, Tyler. We are the three voices of ECB podcast and Facebook group. Peyton, tell them where they can find us and listen to us at.
Well, Tyler, you can find us on Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, and all other podcast hosting sites. Also, go join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups like Everything College Basketball.
So if you want everything you need to know about the collegiate game or have a passion for it, there's only one spot that you need to check out on a weekly basis or a daily basis with the Facebook group. That's Everything College Basketball. Now let's get back to Conrad informing you on everything pro wrestling and the workings around it.
Brother.
Everyday pro wrestling, they can never be you. Listen to the podcast for the people, the best show that's here, so listen in. Let the knowledge begin, the opinions, the lesson, yes. By the fans, for the fans, not many in this can understand, this the podcast to show you who I am, Conrad Cushman, the legend in the plans, please listen every day to the showcase, the opinions and knowledge that anyone can take, showing you how it is done, proving I am number one, what a legend becomes. This is now my time to show you that I am here. This podcast just to make it loud and clear. By the fans, for the fans, not many who's here can understand everything pro wrestling, they can never be you. Listen to the podcast here for the people, the best show that's here, so listen in. Let the knowledge begin, the opinion and the lesson, yes. Everyday pro wrestling, they can never be you. Listen to the podcast for the people, the best show that's here, so listen in. Let the knowledge begin, the opinions, the lesson, yes.